The NFL every year prior to its owners meeting, which may again be up in the air in terms of all getting together in person. The owners meeting is going to be later on this month in Florida, and I believe it's in Florida. And they're all going to get together and vote on club rule change proposals. The competition committee proposals will be circulated to the clubs later this month, according to the National Football League. And just a few to run down. Most of them being suggested, by the way, by the Philadelphia Eagles. They're very, very busy bees in their front office. They want to modify the blindside block rule to prevent unnecessary fouls. I don't know how that would maybe affect, say, what happened at the end of the Bills-Texans playoff game. If you remember, there's a blindside block called on...
Yes, I do remember that.
Was that on... I forget the actual player, the offensive lineman who blew up a Texan, and that blew up the Bills' chance to perhaps win that game and run out the clock and win that game. Or win it in overtime. One or the other. Okay, yeah, I think they were moving the ball down the field and maybe get a shot to win that game in overtime.
Cody Ford.
Yeah, Cody Ford, right? I don't know if that affects it. Speaking of overtime, this one I like, and I hope they do it. Philadelphia would like to have an alternative to the onside kick, which in the new rules to prevent concussions in kickoffs, where they have reconfigured the manner in which you can line up for a kickoff and when you're allowed to take off for the kickoff, has totally made the onside kick impossible to pull off. Just 7.7% of onside kicks, lowest in forever and a day last year, were successful. So a team, instead of going for an onside kick, could keep possession of the ball by converting a single 4th and 15 from their own 25-yard line.
Let's do it.
This proposal failed last year when the Denver Broncos proposed it from the 35-yard line. And so they've moved it back 10 yards. They piloted this in the Pro Bowl. They moved it back 10 yards, I guess, to make it more punitive to attempt it. And also, if you convert it for just the 15 yards, you still have more work to do.
Right. So have 60 yards to go.
You still, well, unless you need a field goal to tie.
True.
Right? And I'm mentioning overtime rules because that's also coming up in a second. I love this. I love this idea. Why not try it? How exciting would that be? 1 4th and 15 from your own 25-yard line.
I would hope we'd get a lot of teams doing that.
Here's the math. Attempts on 4th and 15 have occurred 60 times over the last 10 seasons. 16 plays were successfully converted. That's 26.7%. We'll always do the math for you here on the Rich Eisen Show best we can. Now, in terms of overtime, Philadelphia wants to keep overtime the same way, but to 15 minutes.
Oh, and go from back to 15?
10 minutes to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That adds another possession. And because that minimizes the impact of the overtime coin toss. You get the toss.
Right, with only 10 minutes.
With only 10 minutes, you probably get 2 possessions. The other team gets 1.
Right.
Certainly if you run the ball down somebody's throat. So this might, with the extra 5 minutes, make it a 2-possession game for both teams, making it a little more fair. I like that rule. Also, the booth umpire has been proposed, the sky judge, by the Ravens and the Chargers as an 8th game official to the officiating crew. I love the sky judge. The problem with the sky judge is it's difficult enough for a fan to watch a play and then a flag comes in late or it's on the other side of the field where there's no action. All the action's on the left side of the field. Oh, there was illegal contact off screen on the right side of the field. Far away from the action, that flag comes and you're like, come on, where'd that flag come from? Imagine it comes from nowhere. Imagine it comes from somebody upstairs. And let's just say the television crew didn't get the flag sign in quick enough. You're thinking, where the hell did that come from? And all the people out there who feel that things might not be on the up and up, suddenly the sky judge comes throwing in there.
Right.
Imagine all that. There's a lot to work through. Conceptually, I like it. But I don't know how that would work. I need to hear more before I say yes on that.
In theory, it's great.
And then last one, we're missing one. Fumbling through the end zone.
You've been on this.
Should never reward the defense that's given up so much yardage that the offense is the ability to fumble through the end zone. Defense on their heels. Oh, but that end zone right there. Just because they fumble it through the end zone and out of bounds 1 yard past the pylon instead of 1 yard in front of it, you lose the ball as opposed to getting it on the 1 yard line. That's nuts. I can't stand it. But that rule will stand for another year, it seems like. Drives me nuts. Absolutely insane. So I guess quarterbacks don't reach for the pylon, even though it's an incredibly aggressive and exciting play, and you try to score.
It's happened to Derek Carr 2 years in a row.
I know that.